sewing friends, I am getting ready to put together my spring sewing plans, and part of my process is usually to look at what is kind of trending out in the world right now beyond the sewing community. Definitely sewing community trends too, for sure, but kind of more of like what's on the runway, what's in museums right now, what's on the high street. And I do this for work. So if you don't know, I do video content for Minerva. And one of the things that I do every season is like a kind of sew the trends video. This won't be like that. This is going to be more of like kind of more overarching vibes rather than like specific silhouettes, colors, fabrication that like we're seeing. If you're interested in that, you could definitely like pop on over to see. These are going to be more like vibes. What are the more like overarching kind of aesthetic trends happening? And I am only going to be sharing the ones that I am interested in sewing up. Maybe not for this season, but at least sometime soon. So on the one hand, I think the names for what we're going to talk about are a bit silly, and I think we can talk about how, for example, literary chic or poet core is really just kind of this year's extension or like flavoring of classic academia / workwear, and where, yeah, sports hybrid is very just like kind of the new direction of where athleisure is going. So none of it is like new. And this is where I think tracking trends becomes really interesting versus necessarily like following them and buying into each and every one. I like to see like where things are connected and overlapping. So we'll talk about that as well as look at possibly some fabrics that might be on my wish list, some patterns that I'm interested in or that could be used to kind of sew up this core or aesthetic. So the four that I want to look at are literary chic, sports hybrid, garden girly, and Haute Harliquin. So I will say I am a big nerd and I have been taking notes in my style, these notes never go out of style, notebook that I got from a friend. So it's got all my trend notes in it and I will be referencing them. So we're going to start off with literary chic. And as I said, I think that this is just kind of a new flavor or maybe a new direction of classic academia. Like silhouettes and shape-wise, these are very classic regular pieces. I think it's a lot of like wide leg trousers, pleated skirts, fitted blouse, like semi-fitted blouses, and then either like cardigan or vest over the top of it rather than like a blazer. So I think it is a little bit more relaxed. And what I think is interesting about this is that usually we are kind of pushed toward academia trends in the fall for like back to school, and we get like dark cozy colors, dark cozy fabrications, you know, like this like wool, tweed, these like very comforting, cozy, long-lasting pieces, kind of like what we are sold during the fall. And I think the like springtime version, for one, seeing it in spring in contrast to like a lot of vacation things, a lot of like summer-esque projected items. Yeah, to see it in the spring is a little bit different, but it is also like a bit softer, I think, than what we see, the version we see of it in the fall. There's a bit like, I think it's like softer fabrics, a little bit more feminine. And I think there's also, with the kind of poet core offshoot, a little bit more room to play with like some edginess in there as well. So for me, what I would take from this kind of general inspiration into an outfit that I would actually wear would be like a collared, maybe like even like ruffle collared top with a little pleated mini skirt. So I have some pattern ideas that I am playing around with. I think the new not cardigan, the carnation blouse from Fabric Godmother, that has been everywhere right now. This is, I think, like the pinnacle of poet core. I really, really like it. I will say it comes in a great size range, but doesn't have bust cup options. So another one that works really well for this, I think, It's a bit of a different line, but you still have the ruffle high neck, but instead you've got raglan sleeves, and that is the Itch to Stitch Majorelle blouse. And that one is also very cute. It's got like a nice big billowy sleeve, I think in like either a chambray or maybe like a cream or like a light textured cotton would be really, really pretty. Very nice and springy, even though it is like a lot of coverage. You know, it has the high neck and long sleeves. I think could still be very like practical and still feel really fresh for spring. So those are two that I'm looking at. I also really love again, ruffled collar, but more of like a Peter Pan style. Again, you've got like those vintage vibes from this kind of like post-academia librarian sort of pool that you're pulling from. So I think the French Navy Belinda blouse is really, really pretty for this. I love the Peter Pan collar option that actually has a ruffle in it. I think it is so pretty, and you got the gathers on the back and at the sleeve. Again, great size range, no bust cup options. So I would probably, if I wanted to do the Peter Pan route, would probably just adapt the Helmy blouse from Forget Me Not that I love so much that fits me like perfectly. I could just add a little ruffle to that. So that would be like on top. And then for a skirt, I am absolutely obsessed with the Friday Pattern Company Bernadette skirt. I have made one and now I've planned like 6 more because I love it so much. So that would be an easy one to just do again for sure. But the other one that really caught my eye is the Tauko Kirsti, or is it Christy or Kirsty? That one is a zero waist pleated skirt pattern, and I really like that it's a little bit asymmetric. I've never sewn a zero waist pattern, so it is something that I would be interested in. Very similar shape, that like classic darted mini skirt, and then with the really cool pleats in the front, and then again that like asymmetrical corner is definitely something I am interested in. And then I think a third piece is not only nice for like practical layering in the spring when the weather is all crazy. A little extra warmth there is nice, but I think it also very much leans into those like librarian academic vibes. So I do really like the Stevie slip over. That's more of just like a vest with a V-neck. That's from Sew Over. I think that's a pretty like recent release, unless I missed something. But that is one that I am looking at trying. I also have the True Bias Quinn vest, and I've made one of those and I wear it like all the time. So I could easily just like layer that up over an outfit to kind of get that like, yeah, little poet, cottagecore, academic vibe of literary chic. So next up is Sports Hybrid. And this is really just kind of a continuation of the evolution of athleisure and loungewear and bringing it out of the home where it's still really, really functional to be comfy and to wear things that are like loose and breezy and easy to move in, but then just bring like a little bit more polish to it. So instead of just being like strictly in leggings and a big sweatshirt, we're looking at like, oh, but also linen pants are just as comfy, just as easy to move in. You can go work out in them if you want, and they're gonna probably serve most of the same of your needs, but definitely like out running errands, but like a little bit more elevated, a little bit more polished. So very practical, very much like right up my alley. So for patterns that have caught my eye in this kind of new athleisure sports hybrid genre, I am really loving the new Named Clothing Aalto sweatshirt. Now this is one I could probably hack a sweatshirt that I already have because it's pretty basic. The thing that makes it like special, and I think it is such a great use of detail, they just put a seam that like waves up and down across the high bust that is really cute, and then it has some top stitching, but functionally it's just a regular sweatshirt, but it looks like that much more elevated. And it's a similar thing with the Seamwork Cove. That one has like a polo kind of collar to it and a little split neck. It's just really functionally a regular sweatshirt, but those details make it a little bit more presentable. You could definitely like get a little bit more different kinds of use out of it instead of it being just regulated to athletic wear or loungewear. Similarly for the bottoms, the one that has really just like taken me, I think, is the Ready to Sew Hadid pants, where she wrote a whole blog post on it where she was really inspired by just the classic Adidas track pant, but wanted to elevate it a little bit. So she made them in linen. And instead of just tacking on 3 stripes down the side, she actually put them into like little pleated pin tucks. And I think they are so cute. And then they've got little zips at the bottom. So again, like practicality and beautiful details like coming together. So I'm really into that one. And then skirts are just continuing to, I don't think they're going anywhere. I am so glad that they have come back around. They're not only are like ready to wear ones more available, but there are also so many good sewing patterns for them. So I will definitely be making a skirt at some point, either spring or summer. I actually have one from last year that I haven't quite finished yet, so that's kind of at the top of my list. And then for dresses, I have to give a shout out to the Seamwork Wallis. I have made it twice and absolutely live in it in the warmer weather. It's just like, you put it on like a romper, but then it's got a little skirt, so it's really great for hiking, for running errands, for playing actual sports, but it also looks super cute. So next up is Garden Girly, and I am definitely like going to be living vicariously through this like style aesthetic because there's no way I'm going to be able to do any gardening coming up this year. We're putting all of our like extra time and resources into making our house look nice, and our garden is basically, we've just decided to completely neglect it this year. So I am still hoping to dress like a garden girly though. So I think that this look is very much characterized by like very pretty feminine like tops and blouses with more like practical workwear pieces. So like overalls, boots, garden clogs, very much like kind of that juxtaposition of like pretty and dirty, which is something that I really, really love. So I think that this is kind of a, kind of another evolution of cottagecore that was so big a couple years ago that has kind of like drifted off into, I think, a few different kinds of offshoots. And this is like a little bit more like, yeah, you're ready to get your hands dirty and get your knees in the dirt kind of thing, more so than like, yeah, what it was a few years ago, which is kind of just like these big prairie dresses and like playing house out in the countryside kind of thing. So I like that this is a little bit more grounded, a little bit more practical. So as I was looking for inspiration, I also not only searched Garden Girly, but also like practical hobbit, because I think there is like a lot of kind of fantasy crossover with this aesthetic. I think there's a lot that you could do with these individual pieces. Yeah, because they're pretty practical layering, very good for just like general living, and then like these pretty little feminine blouses. So I am really into that. Color-wise, I think plays a big part in this trend more so than the others. I think we're looking at really like soft, low contrast outfits, a lot of like really delicate blouse fabrics, and you know, classic like ginghams, but also like other kinds of checks, like wafty kind of cotton lawn, something with like a little bit more structure, but also very breezy to go with like worn in dungarees or like denim, that kind of thing. So again, I really am into that kind of juxtaposition. For patterns, one that I think would work really well for this like very kind of breezy, open, but still very like girly feminine blouse, I think would be the By Hand London Loren top. I made the dress version. Was it the dress version? No, I think I made the top version a few years ago and was really, really fun. I ended up just putting elastic in the neck instead of doing the drawstring, but I think either version would be really cute. It is more of an A-line, which I think works really well when you like tuck it into a pair of dungarees or like even a pinafore. So that one definitely like has my attention. I think there's a lot of these kinds of blouses out and about right now, but that is one that like I already have in my stash. So I think that could be really cool. And then yeah, paired with some dungarees. The only ones that I have made are the Riley overalls from True Bias. And I think that that perfectly fits this look. They are a bit more slouchy. They have like a lower rise on the waist. So it is kind of like it is definitely more of like that workwear proportion, which I did not love on me, I will say. I think both fit-wise, the rise could have been, which should have been longer for me, but also the bib. So I think I just need to lengthen the pattern. But I also think that those proportions are not quite what I would be looking for. So rather than going for like full copy and paste of this kind of look, I think I would go a little bit more on the vintage side, a little bit less practical, but I would be more interested in the Closet Core Jenny. That is a much more fitted through the like waist and hips and then kind of flares out a bit. It's not quite a flare, they're wide leg, but I think that would be super cute. Also, I'm considering a pinafore. I have several pinafore patterns that I've never made, so maybe it's time to do that. It won't quite fit this trend exactly, but might be like a way to kind of for me to get the essence, but might be something that I would wear a little bit more. So the last one I have to talk about is Haute Harliquin, as they've named it this season, but it's been going on for a little while, also known as clown core, carnival core, or simply running off to the circus. And I did not think that this was for me until last year during Me Made May. I participated in Me Made May, but Make It Weird, where there was like an outfit challenge with some really fun, really like out there silly prompts, and one of them was dress like you're running off to the circus. Not only did I really like the outfit that I came up with from out of my own wardrobe, but then getting to see what everybody else wore made me realize like, oh, I don't have to dress like a literal clown, but it's really about kind of embracing the vibe and like really just mixing in a couple of smaller elements that are really fun and silly without having it be like a whole costume. So as you can see, I've dove further into my love for clown core, carnival core, circus, etc. with this little guy that I made. If you watched my Make 9, yeah, you'll know that this has very much been on my radar. Now, we could look at this and I could go out and try to dress, yeah, exactly like this, but that would be a bit much for every day. So taking a little study from our little cat costume friend here, I just wrote down some of the like tenets I think can be incorporated into an outfit without going full on. So rule number one, I think, is to just embrace silliness in some form, whether that's in print or color or silhouette. Just embrace the weird for sure. I do really like a mid-century like color palette. So if you've been with me for a while, you know that I love my like olive greens and mustard yellows, but then this kind of expands on that a little bit. I think clown core also adds like some red and pink and maybe even like a cobalt blue in there, which I think is feels really fun and fresh and modern, but still has those like grounding earth tones to it, and then some brights to make it exciting. So I really like kind of the general color palette. I also really like the prints that this tends to go along with. Definitely a lot of like stripes. Polka dots, I would say, are not really my favorite, but I do love like the diamond. I think that is called harlequin print, like when it's a bunch of diamonds geometrically. But yeah, again, like stripes, checks. I think a lot of prints of animals, like not necessarily animal print, but prints with animals on them could fall into clown core. I'm kind of at the point where I like it so much that I can like read everything as like, that's clown, when maybe it isn't, but I'm just really excited about it. So I'm kind of might be projecting a little bit, but I do definitely think like mid-century color palette, geometric prints, and then like unexpected volume. So that could be like, yeah, the ruffle collar, perhaps. Yeah, maybe not quite so Elizabethan as this one, but some kind of like decorative frill around the collar. It could be like a fluffy peplum or a drop waist. I think a barrel leg, you know, those are super popular right now. I don't think they're going anywhere for quite some time, but some just volume in like, yeah, an unexpected place or an unexpected way. So for fabrics, I have a lot of in my stash that I think could work for this, again, because the color palette is very much like very in line with what I already really like, but also I've got some really fun prints that would be good to use. Additionally, though, I do have a bit of a wish list. Like, should I use what's in my stash first? Like, probably, but I haven't bought fabric for like 3 months. So I might treat myself a little bit. So I wanted to share a couple that I'm really liking and that would definitely fit for this kind of business. One is just a Fableism stripe fabric that I really like. I really like this. It's kind of this color actually, and then like a rust. Imagine that as a pair of pants would be super cute. There's this one by Verhees, like the pink and red, but it's not like super stark pink and red. I think they're really pretty, and it's not quite a stripe, but it's got like the alternating kind of, it's an interesting sort of checkerboard, like elongated checkerboard. I don't know. I really like that one. I definitely think that could be a more like pretty demure form of clown core. And then to just dive right in, I have fallen deeply in love with every single print from Bonnie and Buttermilk. They are new to me. They're Germany based. I think they're based in Berlin, and I love all of their prints. They're so cool, but especially the carousel panel print. And then there's also a like floral panel print where it's printed in a circle. So it could be a really easy tablecloth, but they're making these really cute skirts out of them, adding a ruffle. And I just think they are so cool, so fun. So I might treat myself to one of their panel prints. Now for patterns that I'm excited about, I have a very long list. So I will just try to like kind of shoot through these. You've already heard me talk about the Seamwork Meadow top. That was on I talked about it in my Make 9, and I think also in my fall plans from last year. It's still not cut out, it's right here. I have it ready to go, but that is one that is really fun with just like a soft little ruffle collar, but otherwise like a pretty simple blouse. Similarly, the Style Arc Kenny, pretty simple blouse, but then has this really nice Chelsea collar with a ruffle around the collar that I think is very cute. Another type that I think falls under clown core would be a sailor collar, and I've definitely been looking for one like this. I put the Fibremood Harmony on this list. This is the best I could find for a size inclusive sailor collar, but it's still not quite right, I think. So maybe I might have to do some more digging about that. If you have a size inclusive sailor top recommendation, definitely let me know, because that's high on my list. And then this one, y'all might come for me, but Anna Allen Anthea blouse. That reads as very clown to me. I have made one. I have it. So I think this might be where I start. I made this 2 years ago, I think, and the neckline just ended up really big for some reason. I did the scoop neck hack that she provides the pattern pieces for, and it's so large. So what I think I might do, I don't have any fabric left, but I do have more bias binding left. So I might unpick this, gather it, and then rebind it. So it will be like a little bit of a gathered neckline. But I mean, look at how big these sleeves are. Like, if that's not clown, like if you can't accept that that's clown, I don't know what you're doing. Because this yellow, I think is like the perfect clown blouse. And then for the bottom half, again, we're definitely thinking unexpected volume and unexpected little details. So definitely like the balloon style barrel leg trouser. I think the Arthur from Sew Liberated is kind of the quintessential one. I really like that it's a fly front elastic back, so nice and comfortable. Actually, I think you can also do a fully elasticated version. So that is definitely like right up my alley. The other one that I'm really excited about is the Ready to Sew Harper. This one has less of a balloon, but it has this little drawstring at the ankle and then this little ruffle that I think is very, very cute. Also, again, like super comfy. And then for shorts, kind of getting into warmer weather, I put the Matchy bow boxer. I mean, you could definitely make this as not clown core, but I feel like the sample that they have with the red and pink and then the bows on the side, It's so fun. I really love it. And then the spaghetti western Willa has these like ruffle pockets that are super cute. So I think any of those combinations, and then yeah, if you wanted to get really into it, like I guess I could add a skirt on the top of the outfit or like a big vest or something. I also think like drop waists are really cute, so I might consider doing a dress. I made the Chalk and Notch Wren before, and that's like a really cute drop waist with a big puff sleeve. That would be really cute. And again, on its own, not overtly costumey, but like actually very cute with like a pair of flats and a little headband, I think could be very like twee, but a little bit like twee meets circus, I think could be really, really cute. So those are the 4 trends that are definitely influencing my sewing plans moving forward. I would say influencing. A lot of these trends have been around for like at least a year or so, or are part of like a larger trend that has been happening for, you know, like cottagecore is at least like 5 years. Academia is basically just like a style staple. So, you know, how trendy they actually are and then what my interpretation of those trends is doesn't feel exactly like following the trend, but they're definitely like influencing me and I recognize that and I'm excited about it. I am really, really glad to be leaning into planning some new projects right now. We are swapping out some stuff downstairs. So my actual sewing space is not usable at the moment. So definitely like putting some creativity into the planning phase, going through my wardrobe and seeing what is going to, I don't think I have many gaps for my spring summer wardrobe, but I do definitely want to plan a bit in terms of outfits. And I really like the rule of 3 that Haley from Seamwork talks about a lot, that when you bring something new into your wardrobe, like ideally it would match with at least 3 other items that you could make fun outfits with. So you're not just like spending all this time making something that you love and then never end up wearing. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm in like the audit brainstorming phase, and then I will move into looking at my fabric stash, looking at what patterns that I already have and might want to acquire, and maybe I will make a fabric purchase. I do think I want to keep it to what I have at the moment. I keep pointing over there as if you can see that, but that's where my fabric stash is behind the camera. So yeah, that is where I'm at. I would love to hear from you guys if there are trends that are influencing you at the moment, or that you are liking, or that you're like, no thank you, because I definitely have a long list of those where I'm like, yeah, that's a pass. Or at least a pass for right now, you know, you never know. So I'd love to hear from you what is exciting to you, either within the sewing community, if there's been like some new releases, or like outside with just like broader trends that you are into. So let me know. I would love to hear from you. And until next time, happy making, guys. See you soon. Bye.